Yo, hello, what's up, guys? This is Mitch. I've had a number of people asking me to do a guide on Prepatch Outlaw, so hopefully this is gonna help. But since this pre-patch, most of the stuff is gonna be irrelevant. I wouldn't say irrelevant, but then pre-patch is gonna be over in like 3 weeks from now. So this guy is gonna be relatively short and there's not gonna be any editings or whatnot like my last guide, and it's gonna be less in depth as well, I assume. But I'm still trying to cover as much as possible, and hopefully this is gonna help. So let's start with soulbinds. For soulbinds, in most cases you want to use theater with double potency. You use Lashing Scars and TT. And for AOE, you can technically go Draven. Draven is gonna do a little bit more damage in AOE, but then it's only given that you're not losing the build for war stacks. So it really depends on what key you're doing. So if you're not taking a lot of damage, or the key level is low enough, you're confident that you're not gonna lose the stacks for too much, then you can probably go Draven for a little bit more damage, but Theater is generally the safer pick. And for talents, this is a talent that you want to go for keys. And but then for these 3 points, they are kind of flexible. But for most profile, spending the last 3 points like right here like that is the best for most people. But if you want to min-max, you might want to submit yourself. So the variation is going to be like you can go like 1 point here, 1 point here, or you can put 2 points in here. For some people, they they might have something like this, but in general, for most people, it's either double 2 points in Seal Fate or 2 points in Lethality. But for me, it's Seal Fate, so I go like this. And then for single target, we drop all the Blade Fury stuff, and then we run Count the Odds with Improved AR. So it's gonna be like this. And then for both builds, for both key setup and single target setup, if you want the most damage, you can drop grapple, and then you can drop heavy hitter, and then you can get improved between the eyes, but that's roughly like 1.5 or 2% damage increase. But I don't like playing without grapple, so I'm doing it this way at this point. Okay, and then we're gonna go over some, and then also for this guide, it's gonna be assumed that you have some basic knowledge about the class. So I'm not gonna be going over too much basics. With some ground rules as usual. With broadside, if you're broadside, we are aiming to finish at max combo point -1, and with no broadside, we are aiming to finish at max combo point as usual. And then right now, because Sinister Strike has a lot of value, and then Ambush doesn't really offer us much at all, so when you're using your Vanish, you always want to follow it with the dispatch. So vanish and then ambush is off the table. And then for Blade Fury, as usual, we want to refresh it as late as possible. Probably like, you know, the last 1 second if possible. Because refreshing early is a DPS loss. And for Roll the Bones buffs, we want to keep Broadside, we want to keep True Bearing, we want the we want to keep Skull and Crossbone as well, and pretty much all the double buffs. Okay, but for double buffs, we don't want what is it called? We don't want Buried Treasure and Grand Melee, which is kind of the same as Shadowlands. And then for Between the Eyes, since we're playing with green screen, so for the Between the Eyes, we are using it in two conditions. One, if the Between the Eyes debuff on your target is less than 4 seconds, then you use it. And two, which is or if you currently do not have the green skin buff, then you should use it, because we want as much uptime on green skin as possible. Whoops. Okay. And okay. Also, because we are talented into loaded dice, so in general, we want to use AR first, and then we press Roll the Bones. So I know, like, this is not kind of it's not proven yet, but then what I tend to do, especially in the middle of the rotation, well, let's say I have a bad buff, like I have a single GM buff, and Between the Eyes, Roll the Bones is available. Obviously, we want to press it as soon as possible. But then, if on top of that, let's say my AR is up in 5 seconds, what I tend to do is I hold the roll for a few seconds, or maybe I just use a finisher, ramp down the AR, and then I pop my AR and instantly roll. So I guarantee myself a double buff in this case. I mean, this is what I do, but I don't think it's proven to be a loss or a gain. And then, okay, for Dreadblade, because for both builds, we are playing with Dreadblade, and under Dreadblade, we should always be only using builders and spenders. So in your Dreadblade window, if your Roll the Bones is dropping, or even if it's like expired, you don't want to press it until your Dreadblade window is over. But refreshing Blade Fury is fine. Also, what I tend to do is I force refreshing my Blade Fury before I use my Dreadblade. But I don't think this is a gain or loss. It's just something I like to do. Also for Rotobones, well, let's say you have Dreadblade up in like 2 seconds, and you have a bad buff. Rotobones isn't up. You use your Dreadblade, and in the middle of Dreadblade, Rotobones come back up. In this case, you shouldn't be pressing it. But then, if I'm about to be using Dreadblade in like 2 seconds, and in 2 seconds, even if I have a good buff, I have a good one. Let's say if I have 15 seconds of True Bearing left, then obviously I don't do anything. I just play my Dreadblade window and then reroll whenever after. But then if I have only 5 seconds left on my True Bearing, 2 seconds before my Dreadblade, in this case, I usually don't reroll. But then if I have loaded dice available as well, what I like to do is I just reroll it anyway. So if I'm about to Dreadblade, even if I have a good buff, but if I can see the good buff or buffs, they're gonna expire in the middle of my Dreadblade window, and if I have loaded dice available, I have the buff. In this case, I like to just press my roll, so I guarantee a double buff for the full duration of my Dreadblade. And then also for Blade Fury, I know like I mentioned that like we want to refresh it as late as possible because we don't want to like lose globals on that. But then if I'm about to send my Dreadblade, even if I Blade Fury, but if its CD is back up, I tend to press it regardless, just right before I pop my Dreadblade, so I don't lose a global in the middle of my Dreadblade. It's like I guarantee myself I don't have to refresh my Blade Fury in the middle of my Dreadblade, pretty much that. But it's like personal reference. If anything, it's just gonna be a very small gain, I would say. So now let's talk about Fender Hammer. I've had a couple of people asking me how do I play this. In general, if you are under Dreadblade, you use it only when you're capped on stacks. So if you're sitting at 3 stacks under Dreadblade, you just keep using Sinister Strike and Dispatch. But somehow, if you reach 6 stacks, you use, and then you're gonna use one use, drop it 3, and then go back to your rotation. And then outside of your DB window, technically we just want to use it ASAP. But there's some ground rules. When you're outside of your Dreadblade window, I'm sorry about all these shitty drawings, but yeah, this is kind of easier for me. Outside of your Dreadblade window, if you can use it if you have less than 3 combo points. Or if you are at 4, sorry, I mean like 3 or less. If you are at 4 or more combo points, and you are not capped on stacks. If you're at 4 or more and you're not capped on stacks, then you keep using your Sinister Strike. Now, the reason why I said I know like one cast of Fender Hammer is gonna build us from 0 to 7, but then the reason I said it's okay to use it, or we should be using it if we are at 3 or less, is because this is to avoid using finishers with less CP than we wanted to. So imagine these are combo points. We have 7 combo points. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So what's gonna happen is, if you're 3, let's say you are at 3 combo points, and you have 3 stacks. You might think, hey, I'm at 3, I don't need to use it and waste a bunch of combo points, right? But then what's gonna happen is, if you're at 3 combo points with 3 stacks, if you use a Sinister Strike right now, in this case, because of this talent, there's a chance that one Sinister Strike is gonna give you 2 combo points, which is fine. You're sitting at 5 with 3 stacks. But the worst case scenario is you cast your Sinister Strike, they don't crit, but you get a proc. So right here, in this case, you cast Sinister Strike, and it gives you a proc, which means it double hits. So that means you get 2 combo points out of that. So you end up having 6 stacks with 5 combo points. And in this case, this is super bad, because you either finish at 5 combo points, which is bad, or you risk overcapping more stacks by using Sinister Strike. That's why we want to use it if we are at 3 or less. But then if we're at 4, imagine that. Okay? If we are at 4 with 3 stacks, if you use Sinister Strike, you don't get a proc, boom, you get here, and then you just keep using. If you use Sinister Strike again, you don't get a proc, boom, you're here. If you don't get a proc again, boom, you're here, and then you finish, and then you use your proc. But then if you're at 4, and then let's say you use Sinister Strike, you get a double, you get a proc. I should draw it here. If you're at 4 and use a Sinister Strike, if you get a proc, which means it hit twice, you get 2 points out of that, and you're at 6 stacks. And technically we're just finishing at max -1, which is totally fine. This is why we have we want to use it when we are at 3 or under, and keep using Sinister Strike when we are at 4 or more. It's just guaranteeing us having good finishers. And also, I have to emphasize it again, is outside of Dreadblade, I know, like, even I used to make that mistake by a lot, which is well, let's say I use a dispatch. I'm at 7, I use a dispatch, and 99% of the time you get a combo point refund. So it's gonna be like this. And let's say I'm at 3 stacks like that. And then because of muscle memory, a lot of people might spam your Sinister Strike again. So it's gonna be max combo point finish, you get 1 combo point refund, and then I use my Sinister Strike again because of muscle memory, and then you end up at 2, and then you realize, hey, I'm at 3, I should be using it, and then you, in this case, you use your pistol shot and fill up all of them, which is kind of fine. You're still following the rules, but technically what you could have done is you just skip the Sinister Strike and just send your pistol shot at this right here. Because if you spam your Sinister Strike here and you use your pistol shot, you waste a global and you waste a combo point, which is kind of inefficient. So just get used to the mindset of outside of Dreadblade window. If you see stacks, use them ASAP. I'm gonna show you guys a clip on why is this very important. Okay, in a bit. Okay, so for opener, oh, also, one last thing before I go into opener is, because we're not playing with county odds anymore, or, you know, county odds is barely anything, because even if with the talent, it's like 10% chance. I personally, with the single target build, because we're playing with county odds with an improved AR, so you should be definitely be using on pole. If you have no combo points, you should 100% using your ambush. But if you're playing with this build, which is the build for key, and you're playing with no county odds conducts because apparently it's bugged, it doesn't even work. So with no county odds, there's zero reason for us to cast ambush. So what I like to do in poles, in keys, I don't even need to ambush on pole. I just use my so just ambushes, don't cast it. I just use Sinister Strike, because if I use Sinister Strike on pole, you know, I potentially get value out of that, because I might get, you know, Fender Hammer procs. It's just more efficient. So for openers in keys, what you're gonna do is your AR. Oh, side note, one side note, it's AR, just in case you don't know. AR doesn't what is it called? It doesn't break your stealth anymore. So what you're gonna do is on pole, you AR, so we get loaded dice out of that, right? And then you roll the bones. And then you build. Flag. Alpha flag. You between the eyes. And then Dreadblade. And then you vanish. Dispatch. And then you play your Dreadblade window, and obviously after dispatch, you Sinister Strike, and then you slice if needed. And then you slice and dice it if you don't have the buff. But if you do have it, you dispatch again. Pretty much it. This is your opener. And then, when you're done with your Dreadblade window, it is very likely you're gonna be sitting at 6 stacks or 3 stacks. And then, you know, after your Dreadblade window, you just dump your stacks, ramp down your cooldown, and repeat this again. And then because of Shadow Dust, because of the legendary that we're playing, Shadow Dust is gonna reduce cooldown on everything in your kit except Vanish itself. So for Vanish, I should have mentioned this earlier, but for Vanish, you should be always using it when Dreadblade and Flag are on cooldown. And then ideally, or at least what I like to do, I always use my Dreadblade in the first 12 seconds of Flag. Because in your first 12 seconds of your Flag, spending combo points is gonna proc the shadow damage, and that's a lot. And that's what I like to do. And also, like, in a lot of cases, it's gonna be because of how our CDR works, it's just how it is. What's tend to be happening is 90% of the time, especially in single target, 90% of the time, well, on pull, you do your opener, right? You do your opener. You send Flag. You send Dreadblade. You send your Vanish on cooldown. And then you do your rotation. And then eventually what's gonna happen is, usually, if you play correctly, Vanish and Dreadblade are gonna be back up again, roughly, usually, less than 10 seconds. Sorry. And then, Vanish and Dreadblade are gonna be back on cooldown, while Flag is still on CD, but it's usually less than 10 seconds. So what I like to do is, I just hold my Dreadblade and Vanish, wait for a few seconds, send my Flag, Dreadblade, and then Vanish. They just lines up kind of perfectly by itself if you play it right. And in some rare cases, what's gonna happen is, well, let's say your Vanish, Dreadblade, Flag, Dreadblade, Vanish are up. Flag is on a 10 seconds cooldown, exactly what it is you're looking at right now. And then let's say the boss is gonna die in less than 10 or 10 seconds. Let's say the boss is gonna die in roughly 10 seconds. So you might question, hey, do I hold or what? Obviously you don't want to hold. So what you can do so you don't lose a use is, what I like to do is, it's not the most efficient way to use Dreadblade, but given the condition, I feel like that's the best solution. You Dreadblade, Vanish to get the CDR of your Flag, and then in the middle of the Dreadblade, you use your Flag. But I only use this in rare cases. I only use this tech when I really need to. It's just to guarantee yourself not to lose a use, because technically you're losing global in your Dreadblade window by casting Flag, but you get the idea. Okay. Last thing before we look at clips. This is not really gonna help, but you get a sense of that. What I like to see is a rotation. I like to see a rotation as 3 stage. Your one stage is your burn, which is your Dreadblade and your Flag and Vanish. And then right after your Dreadblade window, usually you are banked or stacked with Fender Hammer stacks, usually at 3 to 6 stacks, obviously. And then this stage, you just dump your Fender Hammer stacks as quickly as possible. And then lastly, after all these two, it's kind of like a filler. It's kind of like a filler stage where you wait for the CDs, or you can call it, like, I see it as a ramp. You know, you're ramping down the CDs for you'll burn. So you're gonna go from like this, and then back to here. That's how I see it. Okay. Now let's look at some clips. Okay. For opener, it's a set for your opener. And never mind, we didn't do the first pull in this. Okay, hang on, give me a sec. I'm stupid. Okay, I found it. Sorry, wrong clip. Okay. First pull in the dungeon. This is 33. We didn't time it. We fucked it up so hard. So this is not flexing. You see, I tricked the tank. AR, roll the bones, as I said in the clip earlier. Double buffs. Boom. And then you see, I started pull with Sinister Strike. Because I really don't like casting ambush. There's, at least like for the key build, I don't see a reason to cast ambush at all. Boom. Sinister Strike. Obviously, I'm cleaving, using my Blade Fury as soon as possible. Build. And I'm at max combo point. Black. Between the eyes. Dreadblade. To max. Vanish, Dispatch. And now, I still have 8 seconds on my Dreadblade. And I'm sitting at 6 stacks of my Fender Hammer. And I already have Slice and Dice because of this is the GM buff. So I dump 1 use back to 3. Dispatch. And keep playing my Dreadblade window. Sinister Strike. Because no, you see, right? God damn it. Okay. You see right here, I have a green skin proc as well because I use my Between the Eyes on my opener. So I dispatch, Vanish, Dispatch, and because I dump a stack here, so I consumed this green skin. I use a pistol shot, green skin is gone. Keep playing, and then now my Between the Eyes is up again. And since I don't have my green skin, I use Between the Eyes again. This was a mistake. I shouldn't be pressing an extra Sinister Strike here. Don't do that. I keep playing my Dreadblade window. Boom. No. Z. And then right now, we just ramp down our CDs and repeat. Boom. Okay. Now, I'm gonna show you why, you know, earlier in the video I told you if we have Fender Hammer proc, try not to spam Sinister Strike after you finish her by muscle memory because it's gonna put you in a very awkward situation. So right here, same again, I'm doing my opener, flag, Between the Eyes, Dreadblade, Vanish, Dispatch. Sinister Strike, Dispatch. I'm 6 stacks, spend a stack, Between the Eyes again, because I didn't have the buff. I'm sitting at 3 stacks, so I keep using Sinister Strike, Dispatch. Sinister Strike, Dispatch. I'm at 6 stacks, I still have 2 seconds on my Dreadblade, I spend 1, charge, and then Dispatch. Blade Fury just dropped, I used it again. Now, look at this. Look at this. This is the mistake that I talked about. Sorry. Now, you pay attention to this. Right here, I'm sitting at, I just used a finisher. I'm sitting at 3 stacks. What I should be doing is instantly use my pistol shot and then finish. That's the most efficient way. And because I have, you know, it's just muscle memory, you see what I did? I used a Sinister Strike. I get 3 combo points out of that. Why? Because I was at 1, and then I got a double. Oh, damn it! No, I got 4 actually. No, I got 4 combo points out of that because I was at 1, 3 stacks. I should be using the stack instantly, but because of muscle memory, I pressed my Sinister Strike. I got 4 combo points out of that because I did not have, even though I didn't have, what is it called? I didn't have Broadside, but because my Sinister Strike hit twice, so that gave me 2 combo points. And then, because of this talent, Still Fade, because those 2 Sinister Strike, it crit. So in total, that one global, it gave me 4 combo points, and now I'm sitting at 5 combo points with 6 stacks. So right now, again, I either risk overcapping stacks by using Sinister Strike again, or I finish early. Both are bad anyway. Just don't put yourself in this situation, I would say. And now, you see, yeah, pretty much, you get the idea. Now I finish, use my stack, boom, that's fine, between the eyes. Now I'm at 5 points, 3 stacks. I don't have to use it, so I use Sinister Strike again to max, boom. Now I finish, and then I'm 3 stacks. I should be using that. Yes, I did use it, good job. Now you see my CDs are back up again, and we just repeat, and that's it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. I might have missed something or not clear on explaining something, I guess. But if you have questions, feel free leave a comment. I'll try to answer them, or feel free to talk to me in my Twitch chat. If you, yeah, pretty much it. If you like the video, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, as usual, and hopefully this is useful for you guys. And I'll see you guys next time. See ya.